Stories of achievement, winning by having faith, and success stories. Welcome to Conversations with Alan V. Benson. Welcome, everybody. I'm Alan Benson, and welcome to Conversations with Alan Benson. Today, we're going to discuss Black men in K through 12 education, and I have a distinguished group of gentlemen that have a combined over 90 years of experience in K through 12 education. First, Mr. Bellamy, he is the athletic director of Westside Middle School in Louisville, Kentucky. 2 years of service with Jefferson County Public Schools. He is a graduate of university and has a BS in physical education, and also a graduate of Indiana University with a Master's of Science in secondary education. He is a member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, and he was recently awarded the 2022 JCPS Caters of Colors Athletic Director of the Year. Welcome, Theo.
Thank you. Thank you for having me this evening.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Next, Shoulders. Mr. Shoulders, he's a high school counselor with 25 years in Jefferson County Public Schools, years in the membership of Sci-Fi Fraternity Incorporated, where he is the co-director of Omega Psi-Phi's Men Equality Mentoring Program. He earned his A degree at University in Public Administration and also a master's in school counseling from Spalding University. Michael, how you doing this evening? Make sure. You hear me okay, Michael?
Yes, I do, Alan. How are you, man? Thank you for having me, man. Looking forward to our conversation this evening.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Next, we have Ron Mack. Ron Mack, he's an educator, speaker, and historian who hails from Lexington, Kentucky, and he is someone that is well versed in African history. He earned his Bachelor's of Science degree from Eastern Kentucky University in criminal justice, and he also has a Master's of Art degree in education and special education from Clark Atlanta University. He is also a member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, and he teaches American government at Clayton County Public Schools, Atlanta, Georgia. He's Despondency, a fictitious historical novel, facts about the most horrendous and diabolical events in history of mankind. How are you doing, Ron?
Good evening, Brother Benson. It's an honor to be here with you this evening. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. Thank you. And next we have Mr. Wesley Mays. Mr. Mays, he teaches African American history at the middle school level in Jefferson County Public Schools. And he's held various positions since 1996. He is a proud member, also a member of Alpha Phi, and he's an avid runner in a bibliophile. How are you doing, Mr. Mays?
I'm great. How about yourself, sir?
I'm doing great. It appears we might have a delay, but we're going to go ahead and go with the show. And appreciate all of you being a part of this a discussion on African American men. And this is for you all about one. What inspired you all to get into K through 12 education? Starting with Mr. Bellamy.
When I was growing up, my mother, she was a kindergarten teacher for years in Jefferson County. And so watching her being a teacher and some of the things that she did when she was a teacher kind of rubbed off on me as I gotten older. And then also, I had good coaches when I was in high school as well as in middle school. Where some of my coaches were also my teachers, and so it just kind of went hand in hand. I'm like, I enjoy had my mother being a teacher, had good coaches, and so I'm like, what, this might be something I might want to look into as a profession as I get older. And so it was something that I wanted to do, and I chose that profession. And I want the little brothers to know at my middle school that you can make a good living being an educator as well. So.
Okay. Mr. Shoulders.
Yes. Well, for me, I kind of took a different path. Actually, I knew I wanted to always give back to my community. That was first and foremost. I actually started in public services in politics, mind you. That was something that I was driven towards once I graduated from Kentucky State. But once I joined the fraternity, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, we started doing mentoring. First, we started with Big Brothers, Big Sisters. And I saw that how I was interacting with the young men and people who we was working with. And it just felt right. It just felt right. And, after that, actually a gentleman who I was working with offered me a job working in the school system. And I was like, okay, let me see where this would take me. And that happened. I started doing a job at working with kids and planning how to do resumes and finding jobs and things of that nature. And that's when I ended up in education. And I said, wow, I need to do more. I can do more. So that's when I went back to school, got my master's in school guidance counselor, and became a school guidance counselor. Been loving it ever since.
Okay, awesome. Ron?
Yes, well, as you know, Alan, I'm ex-military. So when I was ending my military career, I was contemplating what was I want to do next. I was stationed in Colorado when I got out of the military, and I did some substitute teaching when I was there with the Harrison County School District, and I was really disturbed at the lack of reading in our young men, particularly on the elementary level. The young boys that I came across were not reading on their grade level. We had some children who went to fourth grade reading on a first grade, even a kindergarten level. And most of them had white female teachers who did not have expressed concern about it till I expressed a concern about it. And once I dug a little deeper, I saw this was kind of a national trend. So instead of just, talking about it, complaining about it, I decided to be about it. So I chose education as a second career to make a difference in that situation. And knowing that they build the prisons, and I'm sure every brother on this platform realized they build the prisons based on how many young Black boys do well in youth. So I decided to attend the HBCU and get my master's in special ed to give me the tools to be effective in the classroom. And so that's what inspired me to get into education, and I'm doing my very best to put a plug into the school to prison pipeline. That's my reason for getting into education.
Okay, great. How about you, Wesley?
I didn't want to get in K-12 education. My preference had always been higher education. But I say that, I didn't choose, where I am. I think it chose me. And that I feel that where I am is where I'm living in my gift. So I think this thing has made me happy to do. And I enjoy doing what I do. So it doesn't bother me to wake up, 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning to go there, go happy. I'm in school happy. I leave happy. And with all that being said, definitely want to continuously have an influence on those children, because I know that they get like a lot of negative influences once they leave that building, even throughout the building. But my thing is to positively affect them throughout the day, be a mentor, along with also being a teacher and a role model and everything else for them. So I love it, and I don't think I chose it; it chose me, and that's why I say I live in my gift.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, that's a blessing. That's awesome. Well,
Alrighty.
Michael, you touched early on how, excuse me, you touched early on how things were and how they are now, and all of you all have had several years in education. So my question is, what has changed from when you first started, and is there any major difference from when you first began your career?
Oh, definitely. It's a huge difference. Even back when I was in school, uh, back when there was
Mhm.
busing going on. But when I started in education in '96, all right, there was actually more young men were really engaged about what it is that they wanted to do in life. They was eager to, get out of high school, go to college and things of that
Mhm.
nature, looking for employment or whatever the case may be. Now it's a struggle even to get our young brothers to school. Okay, that's a huge difference that I'm having. And then when they are in school, it's like a game to them. It's like, what can I get away with today? Who can I hook up that's doing the wrong thing today? It's very few young men that we have who are really standing out. That's why, I enjoy that we have our men equality program in the school district. They know about it, they hear about it, and those the ones who reach out and want to be a part of it. I know they ready to make a change, or want to do something big in their life, but for so many of us young men, you have to go out there and get them in order to try to keep them from getting caught up in what's going on out there in society, out there in their neighborhood and things of that nature. So that's the big difference that I'm experiencing with a lot of my young brothers nowadays.
Hmm. What about you, Wesley? Have you seen? I know there's been some changes, but what have you experienced?
Well, academic, I like how technology is a lot more inclusive than it was, when I began. And then on the other end, I think the discipline part has changed, right? So we do more restorative practices as opposed to kind of punishing the way it was when I first began. Like putting students in ISAP, suspending students, having all these alternative placements for students during the day to keep them away from other students, right? So I think the restorative practices, and I've seen it, and I say it this year, seem to have worked this past school year for me. And I'm only speaking from my viewpoint and the viewpoint that I see from my classroom, because I won't see as much as Mr. Shoulders does. I won't see it as much as Bellamy does. So from a classroom teacher standpoint, it seemed to work well.
Okay. Okay, Ron, what has changed over the years?
Well, piggyback on what Mr. Shorter was saying, the children nowadays, especially our young men nowadays, are very distracted, and school does not seem to be, with some of them, does not seem to be a priority. Like I said, it's a game, and the discipline respect has changed a lot. And so what I try to focus on as I'm teaching history and so forth, and especially government, is to show them where the consequences can lead them. We all know that we're 13% of the population, but we 38% to 40% of the prison population.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, my mentoring and my teaching is not just academics, but it's about life also. You know, letting them know that if you stay going down this path, this is where you're going to end up, but that's where you don't want to be. And so that's one thing that I try to focus on. And we know that in the prison population, that the system as a whole, that's where they want our young men to be. So I try to educate them on that level. And we know that there are some private corporations who are on the stock exchange for the mere fact that the more people they come into the prison system, that's the more money they make. So educating them on that level to what's going on has kind of worked somewhat in my favor, in their favor, you know, once they get the bigger picture. But yes, it's a big change from when I first started.
Okay. Yeah, Theo, what changes have you seen through the years?
She's muted.
You muted, Theo.
You muted?
Sorry about that, brother. Yeah, starting out, I was a PE teacher 20 years ago, and what I've noticed was the parent involvement. The parents, when I first started, they would seem like they would drop into school often at the drop of a dime, just to come, just to check out the teachers, to check out their kids. And nowadays, being in the school system over 20 years now, I see less involvement from the parents. I mean, for whatever reasons, you know, some of the parents got to work during the day, so it's a little harder for them to come and check on their child. The students have access to the internet. The technology is a lot different as far as being able to be distracted in school with the phones and so forth. So what I've noticed is that trying to keep the kids' attention and keep them focused while they're in the classroom is a lot harder than it was when I first started. And due to technology and just due to the social media with the phones and so forth. But all is not lost. I mean, we're trying to use what distracts them is also is going to be able to captivate them, keep them interested in the classroom assignment. So we just got to be a little bit more creative in while we got their attention in the classroom.
Yeah.
But I have to say the technology is definitely the biggest change.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you. And I'd like to thank everybody for just being on this discussion. Those that's viewing in, I ask that you like and share. And if you have any comments, please give your comments, or if you have any questions, and if time allows, questions. Next question. I researched that it's only 2% of Black men are in K-12 education, and personally, and I'm sure y'all would agree, there's a great need for more African American men to be in education. In your opinion, what has changed in order to attract more Black men into K-12 education?
Man.
Ron?
Definitely, you know, more pay. You know, education should be, in my opinion, and maybe I'm a little biased, but should be the highest paid profession in the country because it lays the foundation for every other profession. You know, the doctor had to be taught how to read by a teacher. Same thing with the lawyer, and God knows the politician also. So without teachers, you know, where would we be? Yet still, but the respect that we are given in the professional arena is not on the level that it should be. So I think that if the country gave educators the importance that we deserve, it may attract more people. But then you got also the politics of it. You know, some people who are in leadership in education don't know how to handle leadership. You know, and so that being said, you have people leaving the field in droves now. You know, not just a shortage of, you know, Black men in education, but it's a shortage of teachers all around. That's an issue that the nation on a whole has to address on a federal and state level.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Wesley, what do you think has to change?
There's a lot. One, we have to place value on educators, and we as black men need to place value on education. So I think a lot of what how that would change it will start, within the community, and how we
Mm-hmm.
value, how we as black men value education, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then how society values educators, because pay will always make a difference. And then it's like we had to see where we belonged within education, right? When I first came in, I thought that high school was the place to be. But as you stay in there, the longer you see, like, maybe I need to go down to middle school. And then it's like, now I'm in middle school, I feel like maybe I need to go down to elementary to be that
Mm-hmm.
mentor, to be that role model, to be all that I can to
Mm-hmm.
bring them along. But we as black men want to get them in the end, right? We as
Mm-hmm.
men, period, want to get them in the end.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to somehow place a value on education, place a higher value on education, as much as we place a high value on athletics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to talk about us. All right, I'm
Yeah.
not talk,
Mm.
about how the system works and all that stuff. It's what
Yeah.
we need to do, how we
Yeah.
need to get ourselves in there and
Yeah.
make it a
Mm.
priority.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're saying basically it starts at home in the community, and so
Well, how?
is that what you're saying?
Yes, it's us creating, making value in education as a whole, right? And carrying it and pouring
Yeah.
ourselves into it as much as we pour ourselves into other things, right? Athletics is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Athletics does a whole lot for these kids.
Mm-hmm.
And you go in the school system, you see that the
Mhm.
most committed students are the ones that are actually kind of involved in that athletic aspect. But we have to help place that
Mm.
value also on education as we place on athletics.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to keep saying that's us as
Yeah.
black men.
Yeah.
Mhm.
True. True.
Yeah. I hear you. I think just on to that, this is just my. I totally agree with Wesley, because I know back in the day, even though like some they didn't come from educated families. They might have been first generation students. You were
Yeah.
going to college, even if those parents weren't. Went to college because they valued and they saw the need, and they looked at education as a door opener for opportunities. So, uh, the change, get more African American men in education.
Well, you just got you talking about athletics and being an athletic director. Uh, I see a lot of black daddies at the games, and if I can see if those dads come to the school on parent teacher conference like they come to games on Saturdays or whatever, basketball game, football game, whatever sport it may be, if they come to the school with that same type of energy,
Mm-hmm.
we would have a whole different type of landscape with our young black males,
Mm-hmm.
as well as our daughters too. But we definitely would see a difference in our black males in the school system if they see their fathers show that same type of enthusiasm on the sideline, come to school. But
Yeah.
some of the things that we can do to track a black male teacher is, once we do get them, don't automatic pigeonhole them as the disciplinary in the building. Uh, I've seen where we've at my school
Mm-hmm.
where we've had we have about 10 to 15 black men in the building, which is great compared to a lot of other middle schools in Jefferson County. Uh, but they look to some of the young, look for some of the black men as the disciplinary right off the bat. That's fine, but also show respect to the content that they are expertise in, math, science, special ed. So respect what they're doing as a content area. Don't necessarily say, okay, I need you to go talk to this kid because this kid's messing up. Well, that's fine, but also let me talk to this kid about their subject as well, or respect my expertise and my content. I'm just not just a disciplinary, but I also bring value to the school. So you want to make sure when they do have us in the building that they respect what we do, and the money always helps. If you pay, pay is what we're worth. Pay is what we worth, and we worked a lot. So pay is.
Yeah, a lot of people think that when the teacher's job is over when the kids go home, that's only half of it.
Right.
They don't take into account, grading papers, doing the lesson plans, emailing or calling parents that may take you to 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. When the kids go home, that's only half. That's only half the job there. That people don't realize. They think that teaching is such insignificant profession, but they don't realize the work. Like Brother Belling was saying, society as a whole does not realize the work that goes into being a good teacher.
Yeah, definitely.
And I was going to say, make another point was also that when you hire these teachers, when you hire these black male teachers in the building, just don't hire them at schools that are hard to staff. Put them in schools where they could be successful.
Yeah,
I know we have we got a lot of turnovers with principals in our district, and it's the same old schools, the hard to staff schools where if you get new teachers coming out in college, put them in a situation where they can be successful, especially our black men. Just don't put them in a situation where it could be a career suicide. They spend 4 years or 6 years to get that teaching degree. In 1 year, they decide to quit because it's in a situation where they can't be successful. So put them in places where they can be successful.
And in addition to that, let them be assigned a mentor in the school that they are being assigned to, so that they can have someone to lead and guide them and help them, wade through these troubled waters their first year teaching. You somebody fresh out of college, and you put them in a school where there's a lot of discipline problems, what have you. That person coming that door, like the brother was saying, she'll go right back out that door. So assign that new teacher an experienced mentor to help them do that first year.
Yeah. All right. It's not just that first year; it's that first 3 years, maybe. Because trust me, hey, that first year, it might be, some rough things, but then that second and third year, that's when it starts getting rough. But all you guys hit on some great points. I'm telling. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Michael. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I was saying, you guys hit on some great points, and I know a lot of you. If you working in JCPS, every school has this racial equity policy that they have to address in their building. I think Moore is doing a great job in doing it. I tell people all the time, every one of our counselors in our building is African American. We have 3 APs who are African American in our building. So when you have that kind of makeup in your school, and your kids see that, you can have conversations with kids that that you need to have, to get the kid on that straight and narrow, or you can let the kid know, hey, look, I don't think this is the right place for you. Whatever it takes to make your school is a safe school. Make sure your school is being productive. Make sure kids feel safe when they come to school. And I think that's another thing that schools are lacking sometimes. They don't have that diversity in their building. And trust me, our principal is a white female, but she has more black kids in her office having just normal conversations with them. She knows when the kid is in trouble. She knows if the kid is in trouble in the neighborhood. She can call the parents, all those things. So it's a lot, that goes into the success of our kids nowadays, and a lot of times it's not a white or black thing. It's just how you are working with kids. If you show that you are true to who you are, and you're going to treat them fairly, and you're not going to judge them for the mistakes that they made, they're going to turn it around eventually, because they don't want to disappoint you.
That's true. That's so true.
You know,
True.
it's
Hey,
a
well
lot.
said.
Yeah, it's a lot that goes into this education, man. You
Yeah.
know, the kids can see, kids can look through and see who's true and who's going to be there to support them no matter what, and who's not going to
Definitely.
judge them. So you know, it's really about building those relationships. You know, and I know guys who, yeah, they disappointed me, but trust me, after the next couple days, come back, give them a hug, and tell them, hey, look, what can we do to make things better?
Mm.
Because if you make another mistake like that, it may not end up in the same situation like this again. You know, it's going to be something a whole lot worse. So it's really about building those relationships, you know, and bringing people from the outside in, talking to these kids
Yeah.
about what it's like really on the outside. And that's what I do, and that's what my mentoring program does. Man, we engage kids in those things. You know, you think really gonna get you somewhere? Okay, I'm gonna let you talk to a drug dealer that spent 25 years in prison, and how many people he lost while doing that.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
so you
And
know
see, this
it's
goes along with what we were saying earlier about showing them the consequences of their action and where it can lead them where they don't want to go.
exactly. Exactly. A young boy's mind, 15, 16,
Mm-hmm.
17, is not developed, you know, especially if they started selling drugs when they was 12. Their mind hasn't developed one bit. So you do have to show them a
Mm-hmm.
whole different type of avenue, a whole different type of a whole different type of world, you know.
Mhm.
And a lot of those young cats who's out
That's
there,
true.
trust me, they probably got a kid or something out there. So, what you ready to leave your
That's
child
true.
and have somebody else raise them and see them falling in the same path you fell in? You know, come on. You know, you got to have those type of conversations with these cats.
Mm. Yeah, that's
You
true.
know, but
Hey,
but but I think
all of y'all are on point with that.
yeah. But all these coaches that are working with these little league teams, they need to follow those kids all the way till they get out of high school. You know, you go to their school, be on those kids' enrollment form. So if they get in trouble, you can call them. You know, hey coach, look, Johnny's in here acting a fool. Can you come by have a word with him? Or hey, you know, maybe don't let him play Saturday. You know, do something.
Yeah.
Do something. You know, because we can't.
Hey, Michael,
Yes,
Michael.
I hear
I have
you.
to say, when I played football, I got a D,
Yeah.
and my father, I couldn't play football a whole year. He put me on Prop 48 before he even came out. So,
So your dad started at Prop 48.
yeah, he started that. I got a D in science. He said, "You're not playing next year."
Oh yeah.
That
Oh
was the
yeah.
last
Definitely.
D I had.
Oh yeah. Those was the days of the real
So,
dads.
I
Trust
got a
me.
question from. Oh yeah. Got a question from a person that's looking. They ask, what can we do as parents and grandparents to support the students and teachers? And that's a question for any one of you all.
One thing, if I can I can chime in on that answer there, Alan, if I may. Um, One thing you have to do is you have to, if you can't take it away completely, cut down on the distractions. You know, if have your child to read at home
Mm,
sometimes
mm,
instead of sitting in front of the computer, sitting in front of the TV hours and hours and hours.
mm-hmm.
You know, put a book in front of them, make them read. If
Yep.
nothing more than 10 pages a night. You know,
Right.
because what you give your attention to, that's what you're gonna manifest.
Yeah.
So if you watching, and that's why I don't believe in a
Mhm.
lot of the this ADHD and so forth. You know, if a child can sit in front of a TV for hours and hours and hours, that's because that's what they've been mentally conditioned to do.
Mm-hmm.
See, but they can't
Mm-hmm.
sit and read a book for 20 minutes. You know, you got to change that conditioning, parents.
Yeah,
You got to change that track.
definitely.
Because you've already put the tracks in the mind to where they condition do what? Sit in front of a TV, sit in front of a computer, sit in front of a cell phone, and not sit in front of a book.
Mm-hmm.
So minimize,
Mhm.
break. Hey, make sure, read 10 pages before you get on the computer. Let me have your cell phone let me take your cell phone for a few minutes, read 30 pages, write what you read about, and then I'll give your cell phone back to you.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to minimize the distractions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think trying to piggyback off of that's very important. But I think it involves, sometimes with people want to do what's easy, and it's easy to hand them a cell phone to shut them up. It's easy to give them a video game to shut them up.
Come
It's
on.
easy to tell them to go watch the television and shut them up. But it's harder when you have to go in there and read to them,
Mm-hmm.
and also require that they read right back to you.
There you go.
That was something that I did as a parent, that I liked, that I accepted. I was tired. It might have been this. It might have been tough, but there's certain protocols that we need to do as a parent. So
Definitely.
something like when we come home from school, especially if we can do it from like K through 5, like get them in the habit of going to the library, get them in the habit of reading, get them to the habit of turning that television off. Then as they go through the educational system, they'll continue with those habits, which will be very good and beneficial to them as students, and great for us as educators and as a school system. But we have to place that value in that. You got to turn that television off.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I only allow one television in my house ever.
And it's not in the bedroom.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I was going to also say one way that you can help your child as a grandparent or a parent is communicate with the teachers. You know, get your child's schedule, introduce yourself, let them know who you are, and let them know what type of involvement that your time will allow. You know, if you want to just pop in every so often, do that, but introduce yourself to your child's teachers. That means a lot. As an educator, if I know that I can contact this child's parent or grandparent, they got the support system to kind of help out what we're doing here at school, to also continue to help do that at home. So we definitely would love to be able to know who our parents are, or the grandparents are, who's
So, and I'm sure that the rest of the brothers are going to concur with what I'm going to say. I can step into a new classroom, and within 3 minutes of being in that classroom, I can tell the students whose parents are engaged and involved with them, as opposed to the ones who are not. Within 3 minutes.
Yeah. 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 My thing I always try to tell parents to do: know what your child is doing. Make sure you are aware of what your child is doing and not doing.
Absolutely.
Because once they get to high school, they can find the strangest people to hang out with. I'm telling you.
Middle school too?
Yeah. Time. Well, my child, nobody, ma'am, yes, he does. Or yes, she does. So know what your child is doing. Don't be blind to what they're doing. Please don't be blind to that. But in order to do that, you have to be involved in their life, because I notice how when they get to 7th and 8th grade, parents, like, they just step away. They not involved as much any longer then. You stay involved in that kid's life until the day he dies, pretty much, or until the day you die, whichever comes first.
Mercy.
Wow. Yeah. Well, thank you. Powerful. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Start off with both. You received the Athletic Director Award this year, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And you've been the Athletic Director. You are, that is, at Westport Middle School. What is life like in that position, and what are some of the challenges and rewards for you?
Being the athletic director at my middle school, I enjoy it. To me, it's not work. I mean, when you find something that you enjoy doing, uh, it don't seem like work to me. Like what Mr. Mays was saying, that he don't mind, getting up 5 o'clock in the morning and so forth. I enjoy what I do. Uh, Coming to school, getting to meet the student athletes from sixth grade all the way to eighth grade throughout the building. We have anywhere from 12 to 1,400 kids in the building. And being athletic director, I have the opportunity to get to meet a lot of the kids through athletics or some type of club or activity they may get involved with that I'm sponsoring, that I'm over. So it's fun to get to meet the kids like that. But some of the challenges that can happen is to providing the opportunities for the kids. Sometimes we may have a kid who want to start a club that we don't even have in the building. So trying to find a sponsor or some to allow this kid to excel in something they want to do that we might not have to offer. So that's a challenge in itself. And also providing a quality program and trying to keep the costs low. I mean, with athletics, it does cost. It's expensive at times. And so what we try to do at Westport is keep the cost as minimum as possible so all our kids can participate in athletics. Uh, the rewards is basically just seeing the kids being successful. Whatever, even if they may not win a championship, but if they've gotten better throughout the season, whatever sport it may be, that's a win for us. We like to use athletics to keep our grade. They're student first, athlete second. So we definitely harping on academics. We tell them, like, if you want to participate in athletics, you have to keep your grades up. So we definitely use athletics in a way to foster good education, good study habits, time management for our kids. And so those are the things that I enjoy being an athletic director, kind of putting things in place in middle school that can carry them, give them life skills when they leave high school, when they get out into the world as an adult. Life skills, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing would be to give our kids an opportunity to compete at a high level. And what I mean by that is give them the resources, give them all the equipment that they need, and allow them to be able to compete and be successful, whatever sport or club they may participate in. So those are the rewards as being an athletic director at Westport Middle School.
Okay, awesome. Great. Ron, you teach American government. And what is life like teaching American government? And what are your challenges as well as your rewards? You muted.
Okay.
He's still muted. You still muted.
How about now?
Right. All right. Nope. You're doing something wrong. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, it kept jumping back off mute. One of the challenges is getting the children to be interested in government. Civics can be, boring to a lot of children, but when you make it relative, especially when it's talks about what's going on with current events, the children really take an interest in it. It's been my experience with that. For example, let's say we're talking about the Constitution, the 13th Amendment, tying that in with, history and how the 13th Amendment abolished slavery, but at the same time made slavery possible, because that's the amendment that says the only time the person can be forced into servitude is if they're incarcerated. So that's an example there. And also, and I'm going to say something that may be a little controversial, but I think it's very important that we realize that the curriculum is a Euro-colonial curriculum, and I think it's important that we include African history when we can into our teaching. Mm-hmm. And what I'm talking about, I'm not talking about the slavery portion. We know about that. I think it's important for our children to know that their legacy not began with slavery, but slavery is just an interruption of their legacy. I think it's important that we teach them about the civilizations in Africa. I think it's important to teach them about the civilization that African people built here in the America. There's undisputable evidence of that. And so when our children are only taught that they come from slaves, then and they learn about every other civilization, especially European civilizations, but not about theirs, what did they think about themselves? But when they learn of the contributions of Africans to civilization, the Africans had the first civilization, it gives them a different perspective of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been a reward for me, not just teaching the curriculum, but going beyond the curriculum and teaching them about their vital part in history, not just slavery. We all know about that. But, about the kingdoms, about Abubakar II, who sent ships to the Americas back in 1310 or 1311, just a small example. So when they learn about their history, that a light goes off in them. It's been my experience.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, thank you. Michael, you're a counselor. You've been a counselor at Moore High School and Moore Middle School. What is life like as a counselor, and what are some of your challenges as well as rewards as a counselor?
Man, it's like being the president of the United States. That's how rewarding my job is. Because I've been the ninth grade counselor for about 12 years now, and that's what I want. Because I'm paramilitary too, Ron. I'm a Marine, and it's so great because some of them come in.
And simplify.
Thank you, bro. Some of those kids come in so of and then some are just so excited and so enthusiastic that sometimes you have to kind of bring them down a bit, But just being able to interact with all my kids is one thing that I love. That once they go through freshman academy, have an opportunity to go into some other academy. I don't know if you're familiar with how the high schools are now. They are based in academies can go into certain fields, and we have what we call a STEM academy. We have a community academy. It has certain paths. Then we have a health science academy. But I'm the only counselor in the building that has interaction with every single student. So once they leave out of freshman academy, then they wish to go into, I have maybe 100-something kids went into health science that will be coming this year. Maybe another 100-something go into the engineering academy, STEM academy, go into the community academy building, who has interacted with single student. So, it's a great thing. Kids, that when I retire, last class that just graduate. Well, my last freshman class. So when they become seniors and they walk across that stage, I'm gonna be the last person that they call to leave, man. So hey, it's just a wonderful experience, man. I just love those, and I think they truly know that I do.
Mm-hmm.
I have kids that sometimes I don't think could ever reach. I have been able to reach because they know how sincere I am and how what it is that I do and how much I appreciate them as well to allow me to be. So, I mean, it's just a beautiful thing, man. If you're going to go into education, I know teaching is your hands on those kids as well, but being a counselor of kids, oh man, it's man, I'm telling you, it's nothing. If they ask me to come back after I retire as a counselor, hey, yeah, you got me. As long as you need me. So, but Like you said, Wesley, man, it's a great. I've never had a problem with a kid, you know, a serious problem where I can't even deal with you no more. I'll be mad for him. He's a week or something, but you know, I always go back and and see how that kid is doing, and we'll be able to interact and talk about what happened, So, beautiful thing, man. And I'm
Well, that's
glad,
awesome, Mike.
That the Lord placed me in education, like Wesley said.
And Mike, this when you know it's your calling.
Yeah.
Not just occupation, not just a job, but it's your calling. That's what God called you to do.
Yeah, because I wasn't a great high school student. I tell the kids all the time, I was suspended times as a freshman. 13 minister.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with you, but I know what you're gonna do. The basketball team, I was like, what? He's like, oh, it's it. It's so changed my whole life around. When he said that.
I heard that.
So, you can be reached, and every kid can be reached. You just got to find out what it is that's going to reach you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Hey, Wesley. Maybe we got.
I don't know if.
Did you stay with us?
I don't know.
Hold on a second.
There he goes.
Let me see. Wesley.
There he goes.
You hear Wesley?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I can hear
storming
you.
where I am.
Yeah. Well, we know. Huh?
It's storming where I am.
I apologize to everybody. This reception has been wacky tonight, but we're
Yeah.
Wesley, history, what's life like, rewards as well as challenges.
Okay. Can you hear me well? Okay. All right.
Oh yeah.
It's storming down here, so that knocked me out off the internet. So I had to log back in through my phone. But the challenges is for me, like sometimes I kind of get in over my head and I want to talk over there. I talk above their level sometimes. So that's a challenge of teaching this because I know it, and I know that I know it so well that I talk above them sometimes. But the reward is the fact that teaching African American history, and when the principal came to me, it was about 4 or 5 years ago to teach it. I hadn't been that excited in a long time, right? Just him offering or asking me to teach that position. I had to keep myself calm and to not jump up and down in his office because I was that happy and I've been wanting to teach African American history and it brings a lot of reward to me. Again, did I lose y'all? Am I out again?
We still hear you.
Like I don't see anybody.
We can hear you though.
Okay.
We can still hear you. We can still hear you.
All right. So
no, I heard you.
I get excitement. I think the students have become more excited with the content. I think the students enjoy the content and they engage in the content more than they do so now, right? Because I've taught world history, world geography, and then also American history. But the engagement with the content, and that's black and white, right? Hispanic, it doesn't matter. They seem to get into it, and they enjoy, the content that is being taught because it's something that they haven't learned. And for them, Black history is Dr. King. Black history is Harriet Tubman. Black history is Rosa Parks. But we get beneath that to learn more and more about more about African American history and what we have done to help build this country. I think Ron mentioned earlier before we got on about the 1619 project and how that can influence and how that makes a difference. So just knowing really what that is. So I try not to rile students up with what I teach, but I try to kind of inspire them, see role models everywhere else.
Okay. Okay, we have a question from a viewer. What can community leaders? Okay, you just came back in West. Froze
Okay.
for a second. Okay, sorry about the connection. Got a question, and we're coming to. What can the community leaders, our professionals, provide to teachers, our students?
Can you repeat that one more time, Alan?
A question is, what can community leaders, our professionals, provide to the teachers, our students, to, I would say, to increase or enhance our educational experience as well as support for the teachers?
I think it'd be involvement. I think Shoulders you was talking about before we got on. You know how we need community involvement, and the community needs to see that same value that we have. It's important, very important, for them to kind of get involved and bring their knowledge to the students. So just take for example, if I'm what I want to say, executive at UPS, if I'm an executive at Amazon, I need to come in and get involved to help teach them students, tell these kids about potential careers in mathematics, potential careers in science, potential careers in English, in different places. So there's just so much more. Even if we get someone in auto mechanic to come in, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone is not. Some students are hands on.
Right.
But if we get people of different backgrounds to come into the school system on a regular basis to kind of mentor and help them understand that these are the things you can do with an education.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Any more suggestions or anything? Okay.
I think
The final question as we close. Oh. Well, you about to say somebody about to say something? This reception is lagging.
I think
Final
our
question:
students.
what is the future of 12 education in your opinion?
What was that question again, Alan?
What is the future of K-12 education in your opinion?
But myself, I think a lot of public education. I think it's going to be more of I think more of a career type of education. Understanding you maybe just the basics. I don't think school is going to be as much prevalent as public as it is now. I think charter schools will probably be a lot more heavier, probably during the next century. I think that is the direction towards. I really do. I mean, especially if the shortage of teachers continue, I mean, you're not going to be able. Schools will be closing. They will have to. They will have to. If you can't staff them, especially like a district as large as ours, they're going to have to probably, close some schools, make schools where you combine in schools or something. But I don't. If people don't go into education like they used to, I think there's going to have to be a major change.
One of the concerns that I have, is a lot of the conservative politicians are trying to dictate what we can and what we cannot teach in the classroom. Alan and you, I had this conversation how they're using the term critical race theory to determine what we can and we cannot teach. For example, in the state of Texas, when they're teaching the history about slavery, they don't call them slaves, they call them workers. And I think it's a bad thing when politicians who have never been in a classroom are allowed to dictate what can be taught in the classroom for political reasons or for political expediency. That's going to be a real issue. I teach at a charter school. My charter school is 7 pillars, and the 7 pillars stand for the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. And so in that, I'm allowed to teach the standards, but I can teach outside the standards and bring more knowledge into my classroom. But when the politicians start dictating what we can teach and not teach, that's going to be a real problem in the future.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna stay with kind of what you're saying, Mac and Shoulders, man. When you talk about charter schools, I feel like when we get into politics, they're trying to undermine the educational system. So we got politicians that are out there that are creating these charter schools for profit for themselves. So we got some charter schools that are out there genuinely trying to help the students, but then you got a lot of charter schools out there ran by corporations that kind of it's just a for-profit thing. So some places want to get rid of public schools so they can move in and get all this money. So we got politicians that say, hey, we need to provide a certain $1 million or $2 million for charter schools in this district, in this state, and that kind of undermines public education.
Right.
How do we get? Getting people. How do we get? That's going to be a huge challenge. But I can see, as Michael said, that it being some type of charter schools, private or for-profit education going, and I hate to say that.
Yeah. Not unless they do the changing of the funding for teachers. Yeah, that'll be crucial as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think they right now here in Jefferson County, they are getting teachers who don't quite have the certification to go into the classrooms now also. So there's a lot of things that they're looking to do to try to recruit teachers. So if they can make those types of changes, then we might be able to survive.
That's what I was going to say. I said, as far as the K-12 education, it could be bright. I know we to kind of sound negative a little bit, but it could be bright if they invest in the training to the new teachers as well as some of the principals that had these schools. We did talk about bias, complicity, and racial microaggression and stuff like that. So if we can teach them dealing with about racism, and we're also talking about focus on not punishing, being punitive with our kids. We want to focus on what they can do right, let them learn at their own pace, kind of similar to like a Montessori type program. The school I work at, it is a Montessori program, 6 through 8. And so kind of that type of teaching style. Notice we're all educated young men and allow our kids to understand that all the students don't learn the same way. So we have to be mindful of that. So get the families involved early as well. Let's not just call the parent when the child is messing up. Let's make, as educators, let's make contact with the parents earlier so we can get them on board. So when there is an opportunity, there is some type of situation that we all can be supportive of that child, and that's not. And the last thing, we have to address the poverty issue. We have I work at a school that it's called Title IX. Title One school, where the majority of our kids are free or reduced lunch. So we got to kind of make sure that their basic needs are met. I mean, I know that you got kids coming in hungry, kids coming in sleepy, you got kids coming in hadn't bathed or whatever. So we want to make sure we take care of their basic needs first, then we can start trying to educate them, because if their basic needs are not met first, you're not even gonna be able to try to educate their child. They lost until they get their basic needs met. So if we can do those things, I really see our school system being very our education being bright in the future. But we got some work to do, though. We got some work for sure.
Definitely.
Sophia, would you recommend that we have parenting classes in the school also?
Say it again. I'm sorry.
Would you recommend that we have parenting classes in the school also? So why is a parent sending their child to school without bathing or without food and so forth? Maybe their parent does not have the skills to be a parent.
Yeah.
So
definitely can always do that to try to help out. I know in Jefferson County we have what they call a youth service coordinator, family youth service coordinator, and their main job is to eliminate barriers for our parents so they can be successful. But if we have to bring them in and kind of re-educate them on parenting, do so. I mean, it can only help. It can only help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, middle school, we working. So
gentlemen,
go ahead. I was gonna comment, Ron. We work in middle school, so I don't know if you work in middle school, that's a smelly school. Okay.
The middle school is the smelly school.
They learn, so they don't really, understand about hygiene the way that they need to. So they don't put the same emphasis. They don't know that they smell. They don't know, or they forget to put on deodorant every day. I'm not saying that they don't bathe, but sometimes they will forget that deodorant, and after a couple of hours, that stuff is going to change, man. That body changes.
No, definitely.
Smelly.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, with that said, gentlemen, we're about to come to a close, and I would like to thank each of you for participating. You all have provided some powerful insight, as well as instructions and everything in terms of really what life is like and what is your walk in life. See the passion in each of you all, and my prayer is that y'all continue to do great things to empower and to inspire our students. That said, I would like to thank everybody participating in tonight's program. Again, I apologize for this connection, with the internet and connections. Sometimes it goes great. Sometimes you might have some issues, especially bad weather. Nonetheless, please go. We have school starting in the coming weeks. Hope you all have a safe school year. We know that we are still within COVID, and please be safe and your children excel to the best of their abilities. With that said, take care and always be true to yourselves and have a great evening. Thank you.
All right. Good night, brothers.
Good night, brothers.
Thank you, bro. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, there's no actual review. I guess I'll log off, Alan.
I got you.